Hello everybody, Erev Shabbat, Parashat Behar, Bechukotai. May these words be Lilu Nishmat Ovadia Ezra ben Avraham Chaim Alevi, Lilu Nishmat Peretz Israel ben Rabbi Meir Chaim, an uncle of mine, his Yortzeit coming up. V'lehavdil ben Chaim Chaim, L'Refuah Shlema for all the sick people. HaKadosh Baruch Hu send everybody a speedy Refuah Shlema. Am Yisrael generally are still mourning and digesting somehow this tragedy in Miron, where so many people died. 45 people died, and many more were wounded in all kinds of levels, and it's torn Am Yisrael. I mean, the families that lost the loved ones, it's terrible, and the whole of Am Yisrael are feeling this. No matter what part of Am Yisrael you belong to, you feel this tragedy, and everybody's still digesting this. However, unfortunately, when these things happen, we get all kinds of rumors going around, all kinds of sayings going around. People that mean good, they mean to maybe to bring chizuk to Am Yisrael, but sometimes it's making a lot of fear. It's bringing a lot of fear to the tzibur, to the public. Everybody's getting a bit nervous and uncomfortable. And I just want to say a few words of chizuk I hope to keep us balanced. So there is this idea of people dying, where it's Charon Af Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu obviously is unhappy with something, and he did this thing happened. Everybody's asking why. We don't know why. And as the pasuk say, the Dorshir, the drasha on the pasuk is Lama, which means why. Lama Yomru Agoyim. Am Yisrael don't ask questions. We don't say why. Why does this happen? It happened because it happened. This is what it is. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted it to happen. Now it's something that's there. It's a message for us. On the one hand, it was in a very special high moment on Lag BaOmer, when so many people go to Miron and everybody's praying and singing and everybody's happy. And to happen over there, that's a painful one. As I mentioned last week, the equivalent of this is the Mishkan, when they did Chanukat HaMishkan, the inauguration of the Mishkan, and two of Aharon HaKohen's boys pass away. And then Moshe Rabbeinu tells Aaron, Bikrovai Kadesh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose these people. They were chosen. They were the greatest, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose them. And then we see Vayidom Aaron. Aaron, Vayidom means he stayed quiet. He said quiet. Now, quiet means the Mefarshim say he had what to answer. He had what to complain. He could have told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why are you doing this to me now from all times? But no, Vayidom Aaron means I accept whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. He did it for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he did it, and he has his reasons, and I'm accepting it. We find that in the merit of that, we have in some ways the equivalent of Akedat Yitzchak, where Avraham Avinu took Yitzchak Avinu to the Mizbeach. We find the same, a little bit equivalent to Aharon HaKohen, where he, as if brought an Akedah himself. By accepting this Gzerat Shamayim, by taking it like that, he accepted, he connected himself to it, and he says, it's a Gzerah, this is what it is. We so much so that on Yom Kippur, the reading from the Torah that we read on Yom Kippur is this story of Nadav Avihu, the children of Aaron that passed away. So somewhat it's the level of the Akedah. We have this thing that happened in Am Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took these people away from us. In order for us to connect to it somehow. So first of all, we don't ask questions. Whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is what He does, and a day will come and we'll see there was a reason for it, and even more than that, it was for the good. Again, in our eyes, we can't see this, and don't kid yourself that you see the good in it now. We don't know what it is. We are Hester Panim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is as if covered Himself. He's hiding somewhere. We can't see His face. We can't see Him. Nevertheless, there is this. Whatever He does, we accept. That's what it is. Now, in order to connect to these people, we have that this death shouldn't be as if it didn't happen to me. It happened in Miron. I was here. I wasn't there. Nothing to do with me. In order for us to connect it somehow, we got to do something towards these people who died. If it's by supporting the families, besides the idea of feeling, or everybody feels in the heart a little bit of like a pinch in the heart, like something like a pain in the heart. Somehow we got to also be part of them. It means connect to them somehow. If it's helping the families financially, whoever can give all these funds have been open to support these families. They'll need a lot of help and support and so on. But also on a spiritual level, if we take upon ourselves something such a thing happened, such a tragedy happened, we take upon ourselves something in spirituality, something, let's take upon ourselves something. And on any level you are, I always say this in shul, in the synagogue, we always say that if you are a person that smokes on Shabbat, you shouldn't smoke anyway, for sure not on Shabbat. But if you do, you smoke every day, every Shabbat, 10 cigarettes, take off one, do only 9 this week. From now on, keep off that one. And that's on that side of things. But on the other hand, if you take upon yourself something new, something that you haven't done till now, it can be in anything. Everybody knows where their weak point is, or where they need a little bit of something they can strengthen and to elevate them. That will, Bezrat Hashem, that will connect us to these people who died in Moron, connect us spiritually. And we can say we are part of that. And then when we come to us to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are, you said something, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you said something in this tragedy in Meron. We don't know exactly what and why, but ever since then I took upon myself X. I took upon myself something, and again I always say this something has to be very, very small. Don't take upon yourself anything too big because you won't keep it. Something tiny, but something significant, something that you would keep to. It can be the smallest, slightest thing. Anything you do is good, even if it's some people take to say a bracha out of a sidur. Every time you're going to say Asher Yatzar out of either a sidur or it's printed these brachot Asher Yatzar. Anything small that we can do, that's the good thing. That's something to do. Anything. It should be small, because again, if it'll be big, you won't stick to it. It will finish. But the main thing is to remember is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching over us, guarding us, protecting us, and we are in His hands. And therefore there's no point in asking questions. We don't ask our parents when they decided for us when we were little children. Your parents said to do this. Sometimes we didn't like what they told us to do, but they know why they're doing it. They have a reason, and we can't say, hey, why are you doing this? Doesn't make sense. When you grow up, you'll see the reason, you'll find why this makes sense. Always remember this week's Parashat, this week's Shabbat, there are people who have the minhag. Not everybody has this minhag, but many people have the minhag to read Pirkei Avot on Shabbat. Especially between Pesach and Chag HaShavuot. This week on Pirkei Avot, it's the 5th perek. The 5th perek brings out, one of the Mishnayot in the 5th perek says, talking about 10 things. So it starts off with 10 sayings the world was created. There's 10 generations from Abraham to Noah, from Noach to Abraham, from Adam to Noach. All these 10 things. One of the things is 10 miracles happened in Beit HaMikdash. And Chachamim ask the Mishnah, this Pirkei Avot is a Mishnayot, it's not, why is it tell me in our history what happened in Beit HaMikdash, the miracles, or what's it got to do with me? Chachamim tell us, there's a way of the Rasha on this, is that to tell us that the Beit HaMikdash that we're talking about over here is in your heart. Bilvavi Mishkan Evneh. Every person has in their heart, your heart, your spirituality inside is called Beit HaMikdash. And when you list certain things, for example, things that you think, what's it got to do with us? For example, the smoke. First of all, the meat never smelt bad in Beit HaMikdash. And if you think about it, Beit HaMikdash, it was a huge, if you take an abattoir, it's a huge abattoir with korbanot being slaughtered all the time, animals getting slaughtered all the time. It's a huge meat factory. It should stink. It never stank. We find this lo nira zvuv, there's never fly in Beit HaMikdash. Another one was the smoke. There's 10 of them, but I'll just do a few of them because we're running out of time. The smoke from the korbanot always went up, and it went up straight. The wind would never blow it. And Yerushalayim, the winter, you get wind sometimes. The fire never went out. Chachamim tell us all this means us, our heart. If you go inside to every person, each and every one of us, it's pure. The meat doesn't smell. If you go inside, it doesn't smell. There was never a fly there. Fly symbolizes going to the Yetzer Hara. The Gemara tells us the fly is Yetzer Hara. It doesn't apply. We are connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The smoke that went up and the wind never blew it was because the smoke went up, because that's again the connection between us and heaven, so-called the heaven and earth connected. That's a connection. It's only smoke, but it's a connection. We are connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Always remember these things. If you look at this book's Parashat talking about Shemitah, how people have to leave their fields for the whole year, all things together is strengthen our emunah b'tachon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And many times this emunah b'tachon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the judgment, to see if you really have it, happens sometimes. Unfortunately, with these tragedies, it can happen. So I say again, always remember everything's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's nothing to do with any. People have been saying all kinds of things. Rabbi Shimon doesn't want us, all kind of thing. We don't hold all those things. We have HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us, and we connected him with something you can't disconnect us from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nevertheless, a tragedy happened, and it's a wake-up call from Shamayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God is saying something to us. It's not nothing, but He's saying something to us. We got to take notice, do something towards the situation, but don't despair and don't get scared and get other people scared. Shabbat Shalom. And we should hear and share many good news.